Hello, animal communicators, and welcome to this week's free live power training. Place to come to get all your hints, tips, and sometimes complete strategies in animal communication. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Sarah Jane LeBlanc, and I'm a professional animal communicator, trainer, mentor, and coach, and have been for 20 years now. But what I've discovered over the last few years specifically is that whilst I have always taught animal communication from beginner level all the way up to professional practitioner level, I've really learned in the last few years that my zone of genius is working with those who either want to be or are already practicing as professional animal communicators. And the reason I know that that is my zone of genius is not just because the results are in the pudding, as they say, but I bring two really important concepts to teaching those at professional practitioner level. The first is my background. My degree and my formal training is in education. So I am well versed in teaching and breaking down complex strategies into easy to follow steps. And secondly, I also bring more than 30 years' experience as a trained therapist and certified coach, where I have worked with hundreds of people and have to bring lots of different tools and strategies to the table to help them dig down into what is going on behind a behaviour or a particular issue. And I bring all of that therapeutic training to my animal communication work. And I've found a way to translate the people work that I do into animal communication strategies so that you can use those same tools with the animals to achieve long lasting, sustainable results, often in a way that many paid professional practitioners before you haven't managed to do. So, these are the two pieces that I bring to the table as an animal communication teacher so that you can be the best that you possibly can be. So, these power trainings are all about digging down into a teaching concept in a really kind of powerful kind of 10 minutes or so. And today, what I want to share with you is all about confidence. It's all about confidence. Confidence is something that I teach about so often. Here in my live spaces where you can access me at no cost, but even more so on my professional practitioner program. In fact, all my animal communication programs. Confidence is so important to. It's not even it's not even doing the work. That's part of it, because if you don't have confidence in what you're doing, then you're not likely to show up and do the work. But it's even more than that. It's about how you show up. It's about where you show up, and more importantly, where you might choose not to show up and where you might choose not to work, all because of your confidence. So what I want to share with you today is a couple of teachings from my professional practitioner program and also from my mentorship program with professional practitioners, where I really look at what's behind the confidence and what ultimately are the stories that you are telling yourself that fundamentally have been created to keep you safe, but usually always result in you not progressing forward and therefore remaining stuck. And that's really what I want to share with you here today. So you can start to look at and examine what communication are you doing with yourself? And more importantly, what can you do to get unhooked from that and create a new way forward? So, what's really essential here is just a little bit of back story, a bit of context for this concept of stories that I talk about. So that's a therapeutic term. It comes from my therapeutic training, and story is what the mind does. It's pre-programmed to tell a story. It's what it does. So once we know that, understand that, and accept that, you can then be in a really powerful position to change that story. So you know that the mind is programmed to tell a story. I invite you, first of all, to consider what kind of story are you telling yourself? What kind of communication are you doing with yourself? Is it positive and empowering and inspiring? Or is it degrading? Does it put you down? Does it belittle you? Have a think about those two different ways that we can talk to ourselves. It's really, really important. I find, not just in my role as an animal communication teacher, but in my role as a therapist and a coach, that most people Most people's story is degrading them, is berating them, is telling them that they're no good or they're not good enough or they'll never be or they'll never have. If those stories sound familiar to you, then this is your opportunity to start noticing and then start to correct that, because you can correct it. You are in charge. You control the mind. It doesn't always feel like it. It doesn't always feel like it, but it's the truth. So I invite you to think about, in the context of animal communication, what stories are you telling yourself? What communication are you having with yourself about you being an animal communicator? Now, here's the second piece of teaching around this. The mind always tells a story, but it does it for a very specific reason. It's not to be mean to you, it's not to be horrible, it's not to put you down. It's actually about keeping you safe. That is the subconscious mind's one and only job. It's the only job it has, and it's to keep you safe. So if you've ever had an experience, whether it was last week, last year, 10 years ago, or when you were 3 years old, if you've had an experience that has resulted in you feeling unsafe, or maybe you had an experience where you were ridiculed or people laughed at you. It might have been something small and cutesy when you were 4 years old, but for you as that 4-year-old, you didn't receive it as, oh, isn't that so cute that she's just tripped over herself in front of everybody and fallen down. The things that some people laugh at. But for you, as the person at the other end of that, that might not have felt so safe for you, and you might have felt very exposed or very vulnerable. And so, what happens is your subconscious mind marks that occasion, does not forget it. And then in the future, when you are venturing into different areas of life or going down different avenues of life, if the subconscious mind thinks, oh, whoa, we better watch out here, this could be another situation similar to that one way back when. But here's the really juicy part. You might have no conscious awareness or memory of that old experience back in the past. You might no longer remember it, might not even be here anywhere for you to make sense of or catch on to, but your subconscious mind always remembers. That's the thing. Your subconscious mind always remembers. So if your subconscious mind is remembering, oh, the last time she went on stage, or the last time that he spoke out in public in front of people, this happened, we want to stop that happening again, then your subconscious mind is going to be creating story or even generating feelings in your body that will stop you or prevent you from going into that particular environment, just in case that old experience is relived for a second time. So now that you understand why the subconscious mind creates story and will send you really strong feelings as well, not to do something, not to go somewhere. Now that you understand that, you have opportunity to think, right, okay, maybe this was set up some time ago and it definitely served me in the past, because it will have. Fact, that will have served you at some point in your past. Because remember, the subconscious mind doesn't do it to be mean or horrible. It's a self-preservation action that it's taken. So what you want to be looking at now is, does it serve me now? Does it serve me in the here and the now? Or, and this is the key question, is it keeping me stuck? Is believing that story or following that feeling that tells me not to do, not to go, not to say, does that serve me in the dreams that I hold for myself and the animals? Or is it keeping me stuck? And if it's keeping you stuck, what you really want to be doing is starting to unhook all of those attachments to the past and create a new reality here in the present. So the quickest, easiest way that I can do that in a free session like this is to use the power of affirmations. So I encourage you to write down all the things that are coming up, all the internal chatter, all those stories that are non-serving, that berate you, that are belittling, that do not inspire you. Write them all down on a piece of paper on one side of the piece of paper, and then on the other side you want to just write down their counter opposite. So if it's something like, oh, I'll never be an animal communicator, then its counter opposite would be, I can be an animal communicator, I just need to keep at this, I need to keep showing up and keep doing the work, and I will reach my dreams. Or maybe your internal talk is, it's not safe for you to be out there telling people that you do something as weird and woo-woo as animal communication. So your counter opposite there would be something like, I can find safe ways to share with the world that I am here to communicate with animals and be a voice for the animals. So you get the idea. On one half of the page, you write down everything that's non-serving, all that internal chatter, that those stories, that conversation, the way you're communicating with yourself. And then on the other side, you write down the counter opposite, create a really strong affirmation that you can really feel in your body, and just keep repeating that to yourself again and again and again. And if you need any more specific or direct help with this, please do reach out to me. It's always my pleasure to help you become the extraordinary animal communicator that not only I desire for you to be, but you absolutely deserve to be. Until next time, take care.